And for the circus starts, so here's trick on your dance moves you can do. That's your niche. So get on up, let's start the circus. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the face. See it on the face. Yeah. Bring it together. Here we go. Let it go. You take this down. Let it go. Let that all sweat. Elbow. What am I doing for progress? Now. Keep on. Yes, stop. Crush it. Get that going. Skip those dancing. Those were dancing.
After I'm going to go 1-12 on the half. 12. I'm going to come up and get my... No. When I'm done, I'll be like, oh, Ben, let's start.
Are you putting out before everybody or before me? Okay, good.
Should hit the frame. Salt. Salt. You're all things you guys are saying. 2 minutes, citizens. That's your life. That's okay, because you got a faucet. 2 minutes. Oh. No. What's that? No. What's that? No. One minute, guys. We can do this.
Yo, what is up, C1? What's going on? row over here, which is awesome. I love you guys. Well, who here is excited to be at Renegade Weekend? Come on, somebody. Man, okay, so listen, y'all, this is going to be a little bit different, and I want to give you guys a little bit more freedom. So here's the deal. If during worship, go in. Can you get an amen for that? Get in here for worship, all right? If you want to come up here, that's totally okay, as long as you're 6 feet away, all right? Kind of arm stand. Do whatever you have to do to just connect with God here tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun for this weekend, but let's start this weekend off right. Everyone stand up all across this place. All right, good stuff. And let me pray for you, and then we'll kick this thing off. Dear Heavenly Father, we love you. We need you. May we worship you with just a reckless abandon, Father. We love you. We love you. Everyone say amen? All right, let's go.
Everybody just feel free to lift up your hands in this next song and rejoice to the Lord with us tonight. Feel free to come up front. I count on one thing, the same God that never fails, will not fail me now. It won't fail me now, with no waiting. The same God that's never late, working all things out, working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will. That's your name. Oh, yes, I will. Sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh, yes, I will. Sing God that's never fails, not fail me now, won't fail me now. No way. Sing God that's never late, working all things out, working all things out. Oh yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will. That's your name. Oh yes, I will. Sing for joy, my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will. For all my days. Yes, I will. I choose to praise, glorify, glorify, make your glory. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, glorify, glorify, make your glory. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify the King of glory. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, glorify, glorify the King of glory. Nothing can stand against. Oh yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will. That's your name. Oh yes, I will. For joy, my heart is heavy. Oh, yes, I will. Yes, I will. For all my days. Yes, I will.
Feel free in this song to just surrender everything to God and lift up your hands or get on your knees or come to the front or worship with a friend and give everything to God in this moment. And sing. I want to see more people up here. Let's go. Come on. Back. Let's go. Everybody, lift your hands tonight, surrender everything. Don't be afraid to. Let it all down, let it all out. Let out your voice and sing to the Lord. So I will wait and spend my days loving the one who has raised me up from death to life, from wrong to right. You're making all things beautiful. So I will wait and spend my days loving the one who has raised me up from death to life, from wrong to right. You're making all things beautiful. So I will wait and spend my days loving the one who has raised me up from death to life, from wrong to right. And mercy triumphs over judgment. I know that you delight and show me mercy. And mercy triumphs over judgment.
Yeah.
So, welcome everybody. It is so great to not really be able to see you all because these lights up here are bright, but it's good. So, welcome to our first ever Renegade weekend. Man, this is something, there we go, stop. This is something I hope we truly don't get to stop. Even though it's not going to replace the advance, you know what? This is going to be a whole different foundation of a place to start moving forward in the future. So I look forward to it. I look forward to tonight. I'm not going to lie. Like, how many of y'all just have had something so heavy on your heart and just, you knew you were facing it and you just questioned everything about what you were going to do? Like, has anybody ever been there? Like, even if you raise your hands, might not see you, but like, for real. And man, all the prayer and everything that went into this opening night, because we were just talking about this backstage, like, I never, ever want to not take the weight of what God has called us to do in all its seriousness. Never want to take Him for granted. Never want to take you as a student body, as collective youth for granted. So welcome. I'm excited about this. We're going to really dig in tonight. We're going to hit heavy. We're going to go on a topic called Rage Against Your Past. Tonight we're not going to do slides. We're going to be real. I really want you to have a sense of struggle within yourself. I want you to dig deep. I don't want you to be afraid. I want this to be a night where you can start to let go. So, with that being said, before we dig in, let's pray real quick, and then we'll get to it. Father, I just thank you for these students. I just ask right now that you prepare their hearts sitting in their seats, Jesus, and that you humble my heart, Father. And I just ask that this time would glorify you, that these students would break down walls tonight, that they would no longer live in their past, that they would wrestle their past, that they would fight their past, and that they would move past their past. Jesus, we love you. We thank you for this opportunity, and we thank you for just a chance to worship in freedom and to bring the truth. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. So, who here has a past?
I do.
Good or bad? You do. We all have a past, right? Whether it be good or bad, we all have a past. But when you think about your past, and I know for me, we have a tendency to go to the negative side of our past, like where we just dwell on things. Things that happen to us that we just cannot forget, that we can't erase. We continually live in them, right? So I'm sure on some level you can relate. Something that you hate, something that embarrasses you, something that is just part of your life, maybe that nobody even knows about, right? So everybody has baggage to deal with. I am so far excluded from that as well. Like, I have baggage to deal with. And it's all right, but tonight we're going to start to really look at our past and figure out how to deal with our past, but we're going to look at it from a biblical standpoint. So that way we can really start to kick off this weekend full force, battling against anything that's holding us, that's building a wall between us and Christ. So maybe this is you tonight. Maybe you showed up here tonight. Maybe you showed up here abused. Maybe that's your past. Maybe it's mentally, physically, whatever it may be. There was some kind of abuse in your life from a parent, a friend, who knows? You know. Maybe tonight you showed up here and you've been taken advantage of. Maybe you've been taken advantage of by a boyfriend or a girlfriend or just a friend or a parent or people that you don't even know have taken advantage of you. Maybe that's part of your past. Maybe your past is you hurt yourself. You continually do things to hurt yourself, or you continually do things to hurt someone else. Maybe you're bringing that to the plate tonight. And being one of those people that hurts yourself is very, very common. Don't turn away. Don't turn your back on that. Or maybe part of your past, maybe you're here tonight and you have this secret in your life, right? You got something that you just don't want people to know. Matter of fact, you try not to even deal with it. If I don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist. That's not true, but maybe that's something you have. You have a secret in your life, a secret sin that you're dealing with. But to be clear on something for everybody, if somebody has hurt you, touched you, done something to you in ways that you know is wrong, let me tell you something. One, it's not your fault that that's part of your past. It's not your fault. All right? And it's not okay that happened. And I want you to know that if that's something you're dealing with, you have me. You have leaders here tonight. We're going to be going into small groups. You have people here that love you, that are going to help you, whatever it may be, whatever that need may be. So tonight, we're going to start dealing with your past. I might even reveal some of my past. I don't know if we can handle that tonight. But we're going to go at this face to face. We're going to rage against our past. We together on this?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yes.
A lot of it? All right, I like it. So I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about a young man. I'll say he was a young man. He was tired of his life. He was tired of everything. Like, he was tired of his surroundings. He was tired of his day-to-day routine. He was just tired. Like, he didn't find happiness. His girlfriend had broke up with him. A girlfriend that, from what I understand, he loved very dearly. Somebody felt very, very close to, had just abruptly left. It hurt. That hurt. His grades in college that year were just failing. On the outside, it looked different. It looked happy. There was all these great things about his life that people would have said, but on the inside, it didn't come across. It wasn't that way. His life hurt. There was pain. He felt like everything in his life was slipping away from him. It just kept spinning and spinning and spinning, and it just wouldn't stop, and it got faster. So every day, this young man had, whatever he was doing when he was with his friends, with his parents, he smiled. Tears were what he wanted to show, but a smile is what everybody got. And he was, I guess, for stakes and purposes, I would consider him popular to a certain degree. In any case, he had friends, he was liked, he was part of things. But the depth of his pain and sadness, nobody knew. He knew, but his friends didn't know, his parents didn't know. Nobody even noticed, which really seemed to bother him. And this led to things like partying and drinking and experimenting with drugs and going out with different girls. Like this created a pattern for him, which all his other friends just thought was normal. But it's not a normal behavior. So he was empty. He didn't feel like anybody seemed to care. Nobody asked, nobody noticed. So this young boy, I say he was a young man. He was 20 years old. He decided that he had had enough. He had had enough of it. He didn't want to put the front on anymore. He didn't want to deal with it. He was tired of playing the game. So he decided that he was going to end his life. That's where he came to. He decided that he was going to commit suicide. And it was it. That was his escape. So I believe this was around November or so, if I'm reading correctly. And he went into his bathroom, nobody was home. He sat on his floor in the bathroom, and he was crying uncontrollably, hurt, sobbing, just everything coming out. Like, knowing that the next few moments were just going to be his last thoughts, his last breath, his last moments, just all together. Nothing would be resolved. He didn't have a chance, or didn't make a chance, to tell anybody goodbye, to say his goodbyes, to say a last I love you. So he took a bottle of shampoo and he wrote out "I love you" on the bathroom floor, So when anybody came in, that would be the first thing that they would see. And he decided that it was best to go into the bathtub. He was going to go into the shower because, if he were going to end his life, he didn't want to have a burden with his parents to have to clean up the mess afterwards. Like, do you see the heart there that he had? Like, he didn't want to burden his parents with cleaning up. He wasn't worried about anything else. So after the story goes, like after that, he hopped into the bathtub, and he stood there, shaking, scared, had a shotgun which was loaded, and went ahead and put it against his chin and pulled the trigger. He pulled the trigger and nothing happened. Nothing happened. He stood there and shook. He couldn't believe what just happened and what didn't happen. So that's not entirely where the story ended. He later on in his life, not too much longer, just a few months later, I believe it was. He ended up wanting to end his life again, and his parents found out, and there was things that went along with it. He was able to go away to a hospital where he was able to get treatment, and where he was able to get part of his life back on track. I mean, you see, like, he could have had nothing, but for some reason there was an open opportunity. And just, thinking about it just blows my mind. Nobody's going to take you without God's permission, not even yourself. Do you know that? Like, nobody's going to take you without God's permission. Like, there's just there's no way. There's no say. You see, this is someone who had a past. And he survived that past. This is somebody who had hurt, and he survived that hurt. This is somebody who has a past that was filled with pain, which is okay. It's just not okay to stay there. So this was somebody's son. You know what I mean? Like, I've lost friends to suicide. It's devastating. But this was somebody's son. And this was a boy that became a young man. And this was a young man that grew into a man. This was a man that grew into a husband, that eventually grew into a father, that eventually turned into a leader, that's able to be here tonight to tell you his story about how God saved his life one cold November day in a bathroom. That is grace. That is a past. And I find it important to tell you that because it's not the nature of the story, it's the depth of God's love. That no matter how far gone you think it is it really? I would be missing beautiful times with my wife. I would be missing my daughter wanting me to go into her room and make fursuits with her and watch her smile. It's her thing. Or my son being excited because he just got these trainer butterfly knives, and I get to sit on the floor and teach him how to do it. God's mercy is beautiful. This is a verse that, after that point in my life, really, really started to affect me. And this is a verse that I learned when I was in this hospital. Isaiah 43:18. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. I mean, what's the opposite of that? Continuing to obsess over the past, to just keep going and going. See, God is clear in our direction right here. Our direction is to go forward, is to go towards Him. Not to run in place, but to run to Him. Not to dwell on the past. Who here stays awake at night? Just thinking, replaying, going over and over things. I do, I still do. Right? And I wish I could say all the time the things I went over were all the great things that happened. But no, it's the things I feel like I fell short on. The time I didn't spend enough time with my son. Did I do this right? Did I say this right? Are we in agreement? You guys got that, right? Who enjoys it? Who really, really enjoys doing that? It's hard. It's hard to just be there at night, just thinking over and over and over and over. Next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock. Now you're negotiating, I got 2 hours to sleep before I can get up. It wears on you. Your past can affect you physically. Have you ever wished your past didn't exist? I mean, listen, can we all agree? We can at least say, man, I wish this didn't happen, or I didn't do this, right? But before we dismiss our past, before we say, I wish this didn't happen, or I don't want it, let's see what Jesus has to say about the past. Because I'll tell you what, I have learned to love and embrace the harshness of my past, because it has made me every bit of the man that I can be to my family. So this is where we're going to go with Jesus. I mean, what a way to learn, what a way to be taught through a man who committed no sin. So let me set the stage for you. We're in John chapter 4, and Jesus sits down at a Jacob's well, and the Samaritan woman comes up, right? And see, Jesus was a Jew, and she was Samaritan. They did not hang out. It was like Bloods and Crips, you know what I mean? Like, there was no, they just didn't talk to each other. So he asked her for a drink. And she's surprised, what are you asking me, for a drink of water for? So as she does this, Jesus, just being as cool as he is, starts talking to her and telling her things about her past, how she's, how she slept with 5 guys, and the guy that she's living with now, isn't her husband either. God takes that relationship very seriously between man and wife. Understand that it is designed that way. He takes it that serious, that waiting until marriage for sex is such a sacred bond. And even in this, we see that he's saying, you've been with multiple men, but yet he doesn't judge her on it. He doesn't, how many people would have loved the opportunity to find out that this girl had multiple partners and she wasn't married, and just all of a sudden just make a post and put it on social media, just trying to shame her. All that kind of stuff happens today. Could you imagine? That's what, would you have been doing that? I don't have a TikTok account, so I would have been doing it, but I'm just saying, where are our hearts at? Is that how we would go at it? But what Jesus did is beautiful. You see, he didn't judge her. He didn't let her past define who she was in that moment while he was talking to her. He knew that he was going to be the sacrifice for her sin. He knew that he was going to die for her sin, for her forgiveness. So, what does Jesus offer her in this time? as they're talking. So he tells her all these things about her life. She knows now that this dude's real. Like this is the Messiah. Like this is, how do you know these things? Like who would be bugged out if somebody just started telling you all the stuff on your past and you just met him? I would be like, for real. I would definitely be weirded out. But I'm sure the voice and the appearance and the presence of Jesus, her soul probably felt it and knew she was safe. But as they talked and as she asked him questions, Jesus says to her, he says, if you knew the gift of God and who it is that asked you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. See what Jesus is saying here? If you knew who was in front of you, you would ask, not for a water that just quenches your thirst just for a little while, but for something that quenches you everlasting. See, Jesus is offering salvation to a woman who has had multiple partners. He didn't shame her. He loved her. How about that? Nothing negative. He just loved her. He didn't define her by her past. He didn't call her trash. He didn't look down to her. He didn't turn his back on her. Matter of fact, she left there excited, going back down to the people, telling them all about this guy who just told her all about her past. Why can't we look at people in their past? Why can't we look at our past through the same eyes that Jesus has? Why can't we view somebody else's past or my own past the way Jesus viewed her past? With love and with forgiveness. Jesus didn't sit there and say, let's think about this all night. No. He acted in love. Next person I want to talk to you about is one of my all-time favorite guys in the Bible is King David. This man named David. Wow, like if you ever get a chance to really read through Psalms, like I always would make jokes because I always felt it was funny. Like this big man, this king. It was like every other chapter, every third chapter, he was just crying, like just about whatever. But in the same respect, like I admire that about him, because any man that can be that real and in touch with who they are is being real, is being a real man. You know, ladies, that's the kind of man that you want to find. Somebody who can be real, somebody who can be honest with what they got going through. So Acts 13:22 says this: after removing Saul, he made David their king. God testified concerning David. I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to. So Jesus just said David was a man after his own heart. This strong king, this guy who cries. And David is a man after God's own heart. I mean, could you imagine if God, said that, like, blatantly about you, and it was written in the Bible? Brian is a man after my own heart. What an honor. But, again, this isn't an ego thing. But I want to take a look. I want to take a look at David. I want to take a look at this man that is a man after God's heart. So, David's out, right? He's a king. Probably got a big palace. I mean, I don't know what it looked like. The Bible doesn't have beautiful pictures to show us exactly what it looked like. But I'd imagine he had an incredible palace with beautiful walkways and oversees everything, and people feeding him grapes and drinking wine and whatever it would look like. But all his troops are out right there at battle. And what's David doing? He's out walking around and he's looking down. He's like, oh, look at here. Sees this good-looking woman from a distance. So what does David do? He acts on his instinct. He acts on the desires of his worldly heart, and he asked for that woman to be brought to him. Her name was Bathsheba, by the way. Right? So David, being persuasive, being the king, ultimately what happens is they end up sleeping together. Right? And then she gets pregnant. So David, man, he starts getting worried because this woman is one of his highest generals, one of his closest people, one of his closest in his group. And not only that, was a great warrior. So now he's got himself in a little bit of a situation, what's he to do? So he has her husband come back, and he tries to get him drunk and tries to get him to sleep with his wife so that way he can pawn it off like, listen, this was your kid, not my kid. It doesn't work like that. This is not how the story ends. Ultimately, David sends her husband to the most difficult battle because he knew he would get killed there. And he did. So this is the guy after God's own heart, right? A man after God's own heart. Just slept with somebody else's wife, and then he proceeds to have her husband killed. He gets her pregnant, and now she moves in. I mean, ultimately, God took his son that was born out of that marriage, out of that sin. But you know what? David didn't hate on God for that. You see, David had a past. At that point, after all that had happened, David had a past. So let's see how he dealt with his past. This is one of my favorite all-time scriptures, Psalm 51, 1-4. And this is what he says. He says, have mercy on me, O God, because of your unfailing love, because of your great compassion. He's recognizing how great God is, but yet I can imagine he's probably on his knees just sobbing, and he just is so ashamed and so hurt because he has to deal with what he's done. And he says, because of your great compassion, blot out the stain of my sin. The stain showing his past. That stain that was there was just a remnant of his past. Blot out the stain of my sin. Wash me clean from my guilt. Purify me from my sin. For I recognize my rebellion. His heart recognized how he had sinned against God. Not only that, to the degree that he went to do it. It haunts me day and night. You see, David also would lay awake at night thinking about this. Could you imagine thinking about that? Having somebody else killed just so you can have what you want? I mean, I couldn't imagine that. But yet he recognizes it and he deals with it. He says, it haunts me day and night. Then he says to God, against you and you alone I have sinned. I have done what is evil in your sight. You will be proved right in what you say, and your judgment against me is just. See, he knows that the price he paid was the price of his sin. Let's not mistake that sin, anything, has consequence. But you see, this is his past. David went to God on his knees and asked forgiveness for his past. Asked forgiveness for what he did. He wanted to move past it. He recognized his rebellion. He was up awake at night. He couldn't take it any longer. Who's there? Who's got something that you just are dealing with that keeps you up at night? Who's there? Because it's all around things that we've done. One of the biggest things that your generation is stuck with now is being stuck in porn. Being stuck just thinking about it day and night. But God loves us so much that he forgives our past. He wants us to move past our past. You see, the woman at the well wasn't judged, but she was forgiven. When David went to God with a broken heart, he was forgiven. There's forgiveness. So how does God see your past? Try looking at it through his eyes, through the eyes of love and forgiveness. Not negativity. The heart of God is love and forgiveness. Now, maybe on the flip side, somebody's sitting here saying, listen, somebody has done something awful to me. They have hurt me. And I can't move past it, so what do I do? I mean, it all is still kind of relative to love and to forgive. Not saying it's going to be easy. Like, listen, I'm not going to stand up here and preach and give you some false information. It's not going to be easy. But is it possible? This is what God tells us. This is God's heart, all right? This is God's heart when we're asking the question, somebody in my past has hurt me, so what do I do? It says in Ephesians 4:31 to 32, this is God's heart. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, just as God has forgiven you through Christ. You see in here, there's words like rage against your past. If you want to feel rage, let's go against your past and say, I want to move past it. I'm tired of living there. Hebrews 8:12 says this, and I will forgive their wickedness, and I will never again remember their sins. Do you see how beautiful God is? Forgiveness, cleansing of the sin. Now, doesn't that give you hope for the past or whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through? Our past can be a battle, but it can be won. We don't have to be stuck in it. It doesn't have to own us. God takes sin very seriously, but he also takes forgiveness very seriously. So seriously that Jesus paid the price for that. To die for both. Now I know it's a lot to ask of you to forgive somebody who's hurt you, or to forgive yourself, or to move past anything that is in your past. I know it's not easy, but there's freedom in it. There's so much freedom in dealing with whatever it is in your past, and whatever it is in your past that keeps being your present. I know it's not easy to forgive the parent that walked out on you, or the parents that walked out on you, or the boyfriend that just wanted to use you. Like, I know these things are hard. The friend, the one you thought was your best friend that betrayed you. I know that it's not going to be easy for that forgiveness. To forgive the person who may have done something unspeakable to you, things you don't even want to talk about, that you don't want to think about. But just because you don't want to think about it does not make them not real. And God still cares about those situations. So if it's part of your past, it's part of your present. And you can eliminate making it a continual part of your future. And that's all going to happen through Jesus. So if any of these things have happened to you, you have every right to be filled with rage. You have every right to be angry. It's okay to be angry. Is that what you want to say? Do you want to let that control you? Is that what you want to control you over and over and over? Is your past and your feelings about your past? Is it okay with you to do that? At what point does it get old? I mean, your past can continually be your present. It's no fun. Because we take all the negative and make that into our present. So tonight, I really want to know, will you forgive yourself, whatever it might be for your past? Will you forgive whoever hurt you? Will you do that? Will you take a stand tonight? I mean, or will you choose not to forgive? Are you going to have a heart of hardness saying, I'm not moving past. I'm not going to forgive them. Because let me tell you something. The minute that you say, I'm not going to forgive them, you've just become God of your own life. You've just taken over the role of God in your life. Because you know what? God gave every person a death. He died for everybody. There's no footnote in there that says, except for these people that hurt you. Even the person that hurt you the worst, he still died for. So when you choose not to give that forgiveness and you hold on to that past, you've kicked God out and you've become God of your life. And you know what you've really said? God, I know better than you. And that's a dangerous place to be. A dangerous place to be. Forgiveness and love. So much to forget about our past. So where do we go from here? What can we do to start making steps to move away from our past, the things that we've done, the things that have hurt us, the things that we can't stop reliving? Well, one, maybe you need to make a life change. Maybe you need to stop doing that same thing over and over and over again. Maybe you need to stop whatever the addiction is, whether it be, whether it be drugs, smoking pot, or pornography, whatever it is, whatever that addiction is, maybe you need to stop doing that. Maybe you need to stop living in that past, and you need to make that life change. Maybe you need to stop with that secret sin, so that way you can, with that life change, you can stop recreating your past. Like when you stay in those cycles, you just take the past that hurt you so much, and then you take that and you bring it back in, and now you just keep creating all these segments of pasts that just become this huge block in your mind of hurt and regret. That is going to keep you from Jesus, because that becomes your focus. So one, make a life change. You know what that is. And if you don't know, pray about it. Talk to a friend, talk to a leader, work it out. Change your thinking pattern. This is the toughest of them all, man. I'm as stubborn as they come. Make a change on just your thinking pattern alone. So that way you can stop reliving it over and over and over again. Romans 8:6 tells us this. So letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death, but letting the Spirit control your mind leads to life and peace. You see, giving your thoughts, yourself up to God, changing your thoughts to God's will, to love, to forgiveness, that leads to life and peace. Number 3, on where can we go from here with our past, is to forgive. Forgive yourself. Deal with the pain. But whatever, if you've done it to yourself, forgive yourself. Forgive the person who has done it to you. Whatever it might be, whoever needs that forgiveness, wherever that forgiveness needs to lie, make it happen. Forgive. I mean, remember, Jesus forgave people that you and I might say were just unforgivable. But again, nobody's excluded from his love. There's no footnote that says, my grace, my death was for X, Y, and Z, but for these small few, he died for everybody. Everybody. And number 4, and this is the biggest one, and this is the one I think, and again, I think that we fall very short on, is pray. Go to God in prayer. Bring your past, bring your hurt, bring your pain, bring whatever it is that's in your past that is affecting you now. Put it all on the table. Put it at the foot of the cross. Stop making God a spectator in your life and start letting him be God of your life. How about that? Far too many times we just go to God when we need something, but forget about him. We forget about him when we have every reason to be thankful. 1 John 5:14 says this, and we are confident that he hears whatever we ask for anything that pleases him. He hears us. Whenever we ask for anything, he hears us. I ask him to give me a heart of forgiveness. So I'm going to have Kylie come up and play some keys. We're going to move into a section. I want all this leading up to start to get real. And that's, you guys need to own this. You need to own the moment. You need to get real with yourself and what you're dealing with. So you're gonna be getting a pen and a slip of paper passed around to you. And I'm gonna direct you on what to do with that. No peeking at the person next to you. This needs to be you alone and God. All right? And I'll direct you what to do with that paper, but do not hold back. Do not. So our past can either build us up or tear us down. We can either let our past own us, or we can just own our past. And we can keep it as that, as our past. We can look at our past through the same sinful, worldly eyes over and over, day after day. Or we can look at them through the eyes of Jesus. We can start to look at our past, knowing that the cross carried that weight. So tonight, it's your choice to make. It's really your choice. Are you going to stay, or are you going to move? Do you want to stay in that same circle, or are you going to go? So I'm going to ask you a question. What's your choice tonight in reference to your past? What's going to be your stand? Are you going to move past your past? Are you going to surrender your life, your past, and everything to Jesus? Are you going to do that? Is it time? Is it time to let go? Is it time to stop being controlled? Is it that time? Have you reached that point where you don't want to do it anymore? I was a young man who didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't go to the cross. I tried to take things into my own hands. But I didn't have God's permission. So will tonight be the first night that your past is not your present? Is tonight going to be that first night where you're not going to take your past and bring it in as your present? I want you to know this before I give you instructions for your paper. I want you to know this, that your past is not a life sentence. You got that? Your past is not a life sentence for you. It's not. You can make it a life sentence, But the blood that dripped off of this cross freed you from that life sentence. So what I want you to do, if you need to find a spot, if you need to move from where you're at, if you need to make space to get real, then make space to get real. Because this needs to be personal. And I want you to write on that paper, I want you to write those things in your past that haunt you, that hurt you, that you hate, that you just can't move past, that embarrass you. Whatever it is in your past that is defining you, that is just part of your life over and over and over. Let right now be the time that you can write those things out and take the first step in moving forward. So you have the freedom to fall on your knees. You have the freedom to move. You have the freedom. And I encourage you, listen, you don't have to sit there and write. If you want to, spread out. Find yourself a comfortable spot. And get real. Do you guys hear me? Do you understand the weight of what you could take on right now is? It's freedom, man. Maybe it's time for you to start thinking about your past and letting it stop where it was. And maybe your past can start to become somebody else's future. Maybe your past can end. Maybe you won't forget it. Maybe you won't forget all the feelings, but maybe you can bring it forward and you can use it later on in life to help somebody else out. How about doing that with your past? I'll tell you what, my past, suicide and self-harm, hatred, all these things, man, I wouldn't change them. They changed me because I got to see the beauty of the love of God. For the sound when you pull a trigger and all that you hear is click and there is no reaction after that. Except tears. The realization. Deep down inside, we all know we're searching for something else that this world doesn't hold. You know you're searching for it. And I was. So it's time to find. I heard this saying a long time ago, which I loved. The windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. Stop looking in the rearview mirror. Look through the windshield. See God's path, His beauty for your life. So where are you going to stand starting now? Fill that paper up. Nobody's going to read it. This is you. This is personal. This is you. We're not going to take them. We're not going to read them. This is you and God. This is between you and God. You can't go back and change the beginning. But you can start where you are and change the ending. C.S. Lewis said that. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are right now and change that ending. So as you start to write on that piece of paper, what I want you to do is I want you to pray over that piece of paper. If there's somebody in here you need to go ask forgiveness with, get it over now. Get up and walk. Keep your mask on, keep your distance. But if there's somebody you need to deal with forgiveness so you can move forward and in your past. That way you can fight whatever that past is that's holding you back. Go do it. But while you're holding that paper, pray over it. Offer it up to God. And what I want you to do, as you feel ready, I want you to come up front. I want you to come to this cross. And think of this as the same cross that our Savior, that Jesus died on, that He took His last breath, that He shook, that He said His last words, that His blood dripped off of. Bring your past to the foot of the cross. And I want you to come up here. We got Chris and Kelly. We got hammers and nails. And I want you to nail. And I don't want you to just tap it in. I want you to bring it. Let that rage out. Let it out. You know, Jesus went to the cross not just as an act. There was love and emotion. There was hurt and tears and pain. Bring all that to the cross that freed you. And I want you to hammer that thing in there like you mean it. And when you make those steps away from this, don't come back and pick it up. Leave it there. Don't continually come back and take whatever it is. Leave it on that cross. And obviously I'm saying the mental part of it where you keep doing it. Don't just do it for show. Do it because Jesus loves you and He wants the best for you. So as you feel the need, I want you to come up. I want everyone in here tonight. This is a non-negotiable. I want everyone in here tonight to do this, to come up, to hammer this, whatever it is in here. If you need somebody to talk to, you got it. If you need to just get down and cry and pray, well then do it. Don't hold back. Own your moment. If God is speaking to you right now, if He's churning your heart, don't let it go. Don't be afraid. If you came here just looking for peace and happiness and just a feel-good, pat you on the back, you know, there's really no such thing as happiness, freedom, or any of that you would have came here looking for, apart from God. Turn from your past. Repent of your sin. And turn to God. Who's going to be the first to come up here and nail that? And remember, pray over it. Offer it up to God. And say, here's my heart. I mean, here's God's heart for you. His heart beat His last breath right on the cross. Don't take it for granted. So who wants to take that first step? Who's going to lead this? Don't be afraid to cheer each other on. That's right, man. Like, let's find that freedom. And if you need to be at this altar, if you need to pray, if you just need to let it out, We're all on the line tonight, man. That's right, you see? Now leave it there. This is what we're doing. We're leaving it. No matter how personal, nobody's going to read these. If we need to get a couple of people to hold on to this cross so you can be a little bit heavier handed, we'll do so. But tonight is Rage Against Your Past. So just think your past hasn't had any, it hasn't asked you if you're all right with it. Your past just hasn't come to you and says, hey, listen, are you all right with me being here and wanting you? It doesn't do that. So don't hold back when you let it go. Get rid of it. That's right, let's try to say this. This is big, man. All these times, reach out and for yourselves. I mean, know that Jesus' arms, his hands were outstretched as nails went through them on this cross. Come on, don't be shy. Let's give it up for him, man. Let's cheer each other on. We gotta remember, we're not in this alone. We're in this together, man. Together. Right, let's not give it up, man. Let's keep sharing. Jesus, just keep stirring in every young lady, young man in here, Father. Let them find freedom from their past tonight, Father. Let them find peace from their past, Father. Let them go home tonight, not feeling haunted. Jesus, I just ask that you just reveal yourselves in ways to these students that they have not felt you before. Jesus, we give you glory. We thank you for your death. I admire what you're doing. Did anybody feel really difficult to write on that paper? To even put into words? We're doing something big. You guys are doing something big. And let this be forever settled on your heart, knowing that you're going to have other times where you're going to have to deal with your past. But I just ask that God will always keep whispering to you, that you will hear Him loud and clear, that you can bring it to Him. I'm proud of you guys for making the first step, coming up with your friends and supporting your friends and staying by each other's side. Don't let those things go in your life, man. God truly is a God of mercy and a God of love. So we're going to move into something a little different for a few moments. Something a little unannounced. But something I just feel compelled that maybe we should do together. So tonight we are going to be moving to small groups together. It's going to be fun. We're actually going to do some groups. You're going to get to bring this to the table with groups of your peers. We're going to have guys and girls split. You're going to get to chill. We're going to get to all that. We're going to get to that in a little while. But we still have a little bit of time. And I feel like what a great way to just end where we're at right now. No other way than to raise and worship Jesus big. So I'm going to ask the worship team to come back up. And get yourself in your spots. I want you to take these steps, this walk that you have made up front, and you have declared in front of everybody. You have declared to Jesus that I don't want to hold this anymore. Here's what I have, and I want to give it to you. And in this His beautiful love and His grace and His mercy. We get that. We get the forgiveness. Look at the team coming up. I say next year we go for a bigger cross. And next year you guys invite friends and we have a bigger cross that we fill up. Next year. So as the worship team gets set, one more time tonight, we're gonna raise a time of worship. And I want this time of worship. My request for you guys on this is for this time of worship to be super personal. I'm going to ask you to, one, get way out of your comfort zone. So everybody stand up. Now I want you to move to a spot that's different than where you're at right now. Even if that is coming up here, just don't stand in front of the TV. But even if that's coming up here, and I encourage you, as we go into singing this song, and we're going to sing this song, and then we're going to end in prayer, and then we're going to move into groups. As we sing this song, listen, man, if you need to get down on your knees and you need to cry out, then do it. So we're going to sing Mercy. We're going to sing Mercy again. And it was by no mistake that we sang it before we came out, before the sermon. But lay it out there now. Can you guys do that? Move to that different spot. Find your spot. And then I want you to make that spot personal. Because this is what I want. Let me erase this. You know, we were talking backstage earlier, and even though this is where we're having our advance this year, and now we've got Renegade Weekend, which is great, I want you to remember your being here. I want you to remember 5 years from now saying, man, I remember having an encounter with Jesus right here like I've never had it before. I want you to remember that about Washingtonville, about that being that personal to you. So whether you need to stand on a chair, whether you need to come down here and kneel, put it all on the line. Listen, you've already got up and you have offered your past. Whatever it is that's haunting you, whatever it is that's hurt you, you've put it there. So now let's bring this out. You all do that? Thank you guys, man. I love you all so much.
Everybody just let it all go tonight. Put it on the cross. Leave it behind. And not defined by your past. Sing it out. So I will wait and spend my days loving the one who has raised me up from death to life and wrong to right. You're making all things beautiful. So I will wait and spend my days loving the one who has raised me up from death to life and wrong to right. You're making all things beautiful. So I'll wait and spend my days loving the one who has raised me up from death to life and wrong to right. You're making all things beautiful. I'll wait and spend my days loving the one who has raised me up from death to life.
Come on, cry it out.
And mercy triumphs over judgment.
You delight.
You delight in showing mercy. And mercy triumphs over judgment.
Somebody give God some praise in this room. Come on. Father, we thank you for your mercy, Jesus. God, we really don't deserve it. God, all of us, including me, we have failed time and time again. But you didn't come to condemn the world, but to set it free through your Son, Jesus Christ. And we thank you for that. We thank you for that. And God, I pray that you just anoint this weekend. God, that this would be just the tip of the iceberg of what you're going to be doing in our lives. We love you, God. We diligently seek you, Jesus. Have your way in this place. So a couple of things I want to bring up. I know we say it all the time, but we love you. We love you so much. We love every single high schooler here. And any 8th grader who stuck in somehow. Right? It's really easy to get distracted when you go home. Don't be. Tomorrow is going to be a full day of awesomeness and incredible stupidity. All right, so you don't want to miss tomorrow. Tomorrow we start again at 10 a.m. Someone say 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Be here, y'all. We're going to feed you. And listen, this church loves you. This conference is costing money. In fact, the food tomorrow is costing money. But our church has decided to bless you because we believe in you. We know that you've been having a crazy time with COVID, y'all. I get it. I was going to wait to surprise you, but just to kind of give you a little sneak peek, there's an Easter egg on the screen of what we're going to have for lunch tomorrow. And couldn't get the fries because of the location. It's crazy, but if you look on the screen over that little corner, you see a little Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So tomorrow for lunch we'll be having some Chick-fil-A. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Chick-fil-A is holy, so it works out well. Anybody with dietary restrictions, we also got some cod salads for you. We'll have some. I just got. I know it's good. I know. But tomorrow, don't come for Chick-fil-A. Come for Jesus. Amen. Amen. So before we dismiss again, we're kind of going a little bit longer. We're going to 8:30 tonight. We're going to go into small groups. And I just pray, y'all, that you would take small groups seriously. One, small groups is a safe place, all right? So no one, y'all, listen. My potential to be okay with gossip and, types of stuff, that is zero right now, especially these small groups. Whatever is said in small groups stays in small groups, all right? Let it be a holy thing. So obviously with COVID, we have different restrictions going on, so we're going to be spreading out all over the place. So I'm going to read your small group. As soon as I say your name, you can go ahead and exit either out of those doors or those doors, depending on the location. So first small group, and this small group will be meeting in the CY room. That's going to be over there. Has a brand new pool table and stuff, which for free time for tomorrow, we're going to open that up. It's going to be awesome. But the leaders for this small group are Will, Hal, and Tim. Could you guys raise your hands if you're... Okay, gotcha. So go to this group of young men. Please go to the CY room. Marcelo Arquetti, Jacob Sahlstrom, Andrew Fennery, Josiah Jones, Matthew Ross, Ryan Jelasinski, and Katie Salisbury. Please, you can go ahead to your small group in the CY room. In the cafe, we have two leaders, Brad and Tom. Brad and Tom, are you here? Raise your hand. Okay, awesome. So you'll be going to the cafe area. It's where we serve coffee usually on Sundays, before COVID. It's going to be outside those doors, just look for Brad over there. And the small group in the cafe is Jacob Behringer, Evan Jelazinski, Daniel Rizzo, Ben Durgan, Robert Marcantonio, Matthew Razzo. Oh, Razzo, not Rizzo, sorry. And Marvin Naranha. Naranha. Also meeting in the CY room, so this is the next group, with leaders Brian and Ellie. Brian and Ellie, you guys here? Okay, awesome. So you're going to be on opposite sides of the CY room, but it's going to be Isaac Jelazinski, Titus Jones, Caleb Sahlstrom, Damian, either Storch or Starch, I'm sorry. Wow, this is horrible handwriting. Ryan Connell, Phoenix Thomas, Dan DeLorenzo, Don, excuse me. Timmy Raines, David Gurdon, go ahead and complete David Gurdon, and Isaac Gould. Again, your leaders are Brian and Ellie. Go into the CY room. All right, so ladies in this room. Where the ladies at? Yeah. Let's see what it is, right? So you guys are gonna have a great conference. Because you got all the ladies are gonna be here inside of the sanctuary. I'm sorry. What was your name, buddy? Excuse me, please. Damn.
I might have none here, my head and legs.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you're with Brad. Tim, you're there. Okay. So ladies, hear me tonight. So this is going to be a little bit interesting because the chairs are kind of locked together and they're set and where they have to be. So Kelly, you can be on the stage. That's cool. 6 feet apart, like always. Other people, oh yes, Bradley.
That third women's group, ladies group, is going to go to the pre-K room all the way in the back.
We got that room?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Go pre-K.
Okay, sweet. Okay, no, that's great. For those of you in that room, please subscribe. Anyway. Lord, this is how I get fired. That's okay. No, this is not how I get fired. I can trust the ladies. So I can. All right, in the worship center, Christine, is she here? Christine. Oh, there you are. Oh, there. This is your mom. Yes, ma'am.
Christine's room, my group, we're going to be in the pre-K room.
You got it.
Wow. Okay, let's go.
Pre-K room. That works out because, I don't have a pre-K room in there, so we just added that lastly, and I'm not quite sure how we got it. Okay, so Christine, that's going to be Aaron Eicher, Emily Espinosa, Valena Espinosa, Valeria, sorry. Madison Wood. As soon as I say your name, you can go ahead and start making your way to that accent. Taylor Salisbury, or Taylin. Wow. Jules Johanneman. Abigail Cromer. I'm just going to start murdering all of these. Cassay Matthew. Kali Muska. Hannah.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that. Right there. Yep.
Yeah. Because I could.
But you don't want
But I don't want to.
Right.
After her last name.
Right.
Joey Musser.
Okay, that's just a second.
Olivia Myhan. Yes.
Oh, okay, so you guys, this is still the pre-K.
This is still the pre-K group,
You
yeah.
heard your name, you can go back there.
Marie Elizabeth Raya. Yasmine Talor. All right. In the worship center with Lindsay and Kylie. Remember, not on stage. Kelly already got it. All right. Emily Espinosa.
Emily.
Oh, wait, Emily's
Ash.
Emily.
Oh, yeah, she's gone. What are you doing?
I'll go get her back.
Nah, man. Leave it be. Camila Fuentes. Lindsay Hosat Fell. Cynthia Rogan.
That's like that's fine. Yeah, my name might be.
Lina Jelozinski.
Can we get a little bit of light in here?
Yeah, we get a little bit of light in here. Graki Drink. Gracie Drink. Again, I know how to say these, but I put so many. I'm just gonna make it. Megan Bender.
Right there.
Adana Green.
That's not even legible.
Yeah, it's not legible. Brianna Rusa.
Is Jackie here?
I don't think so. I think she can't be here. And then.
She just texted me like, wow, Bryson, good job.
Oh, she's probably watching online.
Oh.
Okay. Same Marcantonio. Yeah. Worship center with Lindsay and Kylan. All right. Dak Oda Van Horen. Okay. Ella Dwick. Sorry, Ella Dwick. Excuse me.
So you say
Felicia. It's Felicia.
Am I included?
Isabella Pagani.
That's what I thought. I didn't learn my.
Victor Wheelie. That's all in there. Okay. So in the worship center here, it should be Lies Corrent.
everybody else is left. Come on the stage.
Madai
I can't sit there.
Darko.
I did not write my name on it.
Catherine Dine. Cataly Furniture.
Shut the mic off.
Yeah, please do that.
Ski Liar.
Ladies, you come on over.
Rob Ison.
Come on over. Come on over. Ladies,
Danny
come on
L.
over.
Gerdine.
Oh,
Gabai.
can we split up
Turn the mic off, please. Please, I'm begging you.
Marnai.
No, come on.
Jonas.
We're good, Chris.
Mykina Cruz.
The joke is old. I repeat, the joke is old. Come on.
Zoe Robinson. Sarai Marcantonio. Lorian Van War. Michael Catherine.
More nine. All right. Everyone in the group?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, everyone.
So just try to space out as much as you can.
All right.
Yeah,
We'll just shout really loud, guys.
there you go. Wait, I didn't even announce Adriana yet.
I think she was in that small group by herself. A round of applause. Thank you.
You didn't even write my name down. I just like I don't exist.
Well, I'll be honest with you, just to get him off the whatever he's on, the crap list. He didn't do that list. So. Who did? I'm not allowed to tell because it looks like somebody